Yep, he disappeared like always.
I disappeared. Okay, this is Denver Broncos, my life. You know commercials, no bullshit. Oh God, now I'm here, right?
You're here.
Okay, yes, the audience doesn't see what happened, but I disappear. I have to kickstart Skype, and anyway, that's do these. Uh, so I guess we're liars. Uh, we said that's it. He said, but actually, what had happened is some interesting things happened outside of this business as usual game. So we'll cover some of the game, but we'll cover other things too. The first thing I want to say is that it seems like every time that we get some accolades, the rat bags come out. It's almost like we start getting accolades and the rat bags come off. And I don't mind people coming, but and saying, well, whatever some of the like you guys, but when they get personal or when you have people, creating narratives that just simply aren't true, reinventing history, giving themselves false credentials. Yeah, that I just can't tolerate that. There's people out there that think that the fan base is so bankrupt that they're actually saying things like Peyton, or I'm sorry, that Pat Bowlen was basically, a bum. And thank God for Ellis and John Elway, who gave us all this that we're now experiencing. Thank God for them. Because it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be the worst that the Broncos have been since the AFL days, And I think that fans that, or these people that think that fans are so stupid that they would believe that we're living in some sort of the glory days, thanks to Ellis and Elway. And I just want to say this too, is that we've given more links and sources than anybody. I mean, these other platforms, even when it's a positive story on the Broncos, like, or it's Kool-Aid, that the Broncos are for two into the Super Bowl kind of nonsense, they don't even link those links. So I just want to dispel something that I don't know why I got to keep saying this, but this whole idea where Elway was impeding the Super Bowl process came out during the firing of Wade Phillips. That's when it all came out, because everyone rightfully said, especially around the nation, and the mainstream said, like, why the hell would you fire a coach that clearly was the architect of probably one of the best defenses in NFL history, all of John Elway. That's just how he rolls. Gets rid of the real and then sells you the fake. I mean, it's Legion. It came out during the firing because everybody was asking, what the hell? Why would you? And then, of course, Dove Valley said Wade Phillips wanted too much money. And yet, though, Elway would turn around and give the King's ransom to Menelik Watson. So you can't get a shred of honesty from the former trust. And it just went downhill from there. Kubiak didn't want to come back, but what came out was how not only did John Elway want Vance Joseph, it came out during this time. All this came out, but he didn't want the Von Miller pick either. That Wade Phillips, Brian Sanders, and Peters was Peters' guy, Adam Peters' guy, and Elway wanted to override these people. And then again, where does Bolin come in? Bolin came in all of that and overrode John Elway. Pat Bolin did. So that postdates to 2011. So he was integral in still involved in the team. And Ellis, everybody knows Ellis was a yes man. Everybody knew that Ellis has always been a yes man to both Pat Bolin and John Elway. So I don't need the trust PR people coming here and just making up stories. Waste. I'm just not going to tolerate it. So the actual history is is John Elway didn't want the architect of one of the best defenses. He wanted Vance Joseph. Okay. He didn't want Von Miller. That all came out at that time. This isn't anything I'm inventing. If anybody can, if they want to, it's just go. And unfortunately, the internet isn't that great when it comes to history. They like to scrub it, but anybody that wants to go to the Denver Post and read about the firing of Wade Phillips can find all this stuff out if they can get those archives. So it's no secret. So I just can't waste time with arguments that just idiotic arguments that, the idea is we need to move forward. And that's why we're here. We're here to talk about what needs to be done. And all I see is the same kind of trust mentality. We're just a Band-Aid away. On this game, they showed George Payton saying, "Oh, well, Russell Wilson, he doesn't need fixing." And then they say, "Well, we'll get a coach that can fix him," out of the other side of his mouth. Same soundbite. What I see just like watching this game, I see a liability as a quarterback out there. I mean, personally, I'd much rather had Drew Lock, because with Drew Lock, you wouldn't have all that draft capital gone. You wouldn't have all that salary cap gone, and you could actually start developing. You could start with a whole new philosophy of team building and development from the lines out. And we get into the game, but I'm going to give the floor to you. So anyway, we're liars. We came back this weekend.
Well, yeah. I just want to go off of what you said with this whole the people that are shitting on Pat Bowlen. When it comes to Pat Bowlen, I think a lot of people and a lot of fans really don't understand how much Pat Bowlen meant to this franchise. And, I'm going to say it. If it wasn't for Pat Bowlen, John Elway wouldn't be a Denver Bronco, number one. Number two, I mean, have you guys forgotten that? I mean, if Pat Bowlen wasn't the owner, John Elway wouldn't be the quarterback for the Denver Broncos. And they like to bring up, well, when Pat Bowlen was there, they got destroyed in those 3 Super Bowls. Let me tell you this. How did they win those 2 Super Bowls late in the late 90s? Was it because of John Elway, or is it because of the trench play on both sides of the football?
They don't want to talk about that.
They like to ring around the rosy and jump that every time I bring that up. Number two, you like to bring up during this time frame to 2010 that John or Pat Bowlen, they went to 4 playoff appearances and lost in the first round. You do understand in 2006 they were in the AFC Championship game with Jake the Snake Plummer, and they would have won that game if Mike Shanahan listened to Alex Gibbs and ran the football in that game. You do understand that, right?
No, they don't.
I'm forgotten about that. The teams, the teams that were after John Elway up to Super Bowl 50, those teams were consistent in what they were. And that was having good player personnel, building for the future, not wasting all their draft capital on a single quarterback like Russell Wilson. They weren't going through coaches left and right. They weren't going through offense and defensive systems left and right. Although with Mike Shanahan, they were going through plenty of defensive assistants, and you can mention that.
That led to his firing. That was part of the.
Who finally pulled the plug on Mike Shanahan?
The owner. The owner did.
Pat Bowlen. He held it.
Yes, it was high time. It absolutely was high time. Yeah. And that's my argument, is that there isn't any pulling the plug going on around here. It's just
rebuilding the foundation. They're not doing that. They're continuing the same thread for 8 years now.
Something I didn't mention, we were said, you guys don't source anything. All we do is source. And by the way, one of the people that were a part of this whole nonsense about, that we don't know what we're talking about,
He deleted his message.
Well, let me get to that. So I'm on drugs. Elway doesn't exist. He doesn't do anything. So what I do is I provide visual evidence, providing sources, providing links, like we always do, of John Elway in his large, big office at Dove Valley, giving a Russell Wilson, who comes in and says, "What's up, boss?" a big bear hug. And he had to deleted his comment because he looked like a friggin' moron. Like they are morons. I mean,
again, this is you're absolutely right. This is why I try really hard to give the facts, and then I'm done talking to them, because at the end of the day, you're always wrong. They're always right, because they're trying to defend this, or let me say, they're trying to polish this turd. And you guys forget about Adam Peters. You guys can never, ever, every time I bring up Adam Peters, you guys always jump the gun on that. You guys never, ever, ever bring up Adam Peters, how much he meant to that front office, how much he meant to Pat Bowlen. Dude, Adam Peters was in Denver for 9 years. 9 years.
Yes.
And I believe that he was groomed to be the next general manager of the Denver Broncos because of the step-by-step process that he took in that organization to eventually be. Go ahead. I know you want to say.
Where is Adam Peters now? Where is he working?
Oh, he's the right-hand man for the 12-4 San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I want to mention something too. I want to mention that while they were bemoaning Pat Bowlen during the Josh McDaniel era, let me ask every fan this. Every fan. Would you rather right now, as bad as the McDaniel era was, wouldn't you think you were in a better place to start right now at the Josh McDaniel screw up than this trust made screw up we're at now? All in debt and we with no end in sight, with a quarterback that's completely oversold. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I again, let's circle back to that time. What was what was Josh McDaniels doing from the foundation up? What were they doing? They were building the offense and defense alliance, right? They were getting guys like Ryan Clady, Zane Beadles, J.D. Waltons, guys like that were player development players. There's no player development going on here.
No, it's a quick fix. It's a Band-Aid. It's a retread. It's, we're just one independent contractor away. Go ahead.
And also this whole thing about, so you're going to blame the ownership for how the Patriots look? I'd rather be a Patriots fan right now than a Denver Bronco fan, because I know what I'm going to expect from the Patriots.
Well, they have a foundation. They have a core. Maybe it isn't working out right now 100%. Now, but they're still in the playoff hunt. I know that doesn't mean much,
But beat the Dolphins
today. A hell of a lot farther than this. The Broncos are. It's clearly in player personnel, and there's a reason why that. They know who they are.
Who sets the foundation? Who sets the family culture? Who sets the culture? Where does the buck stop? Ownership. Mm-hmm. From the top down. Mm-hmm. That's where I think a lot of people have lost their way into thinking about franchise building, is because they always think about the coach, the GM, all the above. The buck stops at ownership.
Yeah, that's what I said in our last video. I wanted to hear Penner at least. I would have rather had Rob Walton come out. I would have preferred that, but I mean, had they said the right things, I could have lived with Penner. But I never heard them ownership say exactly these words. Exactly, the buck starts and stops with us. They alluded to that, but I didn't get it direct. I didn't hear
they alluded to that for 8 years now. We've had the trust allude to it, and then we've had the trust 2.0, which I'm going to call until proven otherwise.
Yeah,
they're starting to allude to it. A lot of people like to bring up Pat Bowlen this, Pat Bowlen that. We had more Super Bowl appearances and losing seasons under Pat Bowlen. In this 8-year run, we've had how many losing seasons in this 8-year run? I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, the list goes on and on. We haven't been Yeah, there's probably going to be more than that. This is going to get worse before it gets better, in my
Oh,
personal opinion.
yeah, and
And
I think that that's the takeaway. I think that the majority of people that have a level head, they know that this is going to get a lot worse before it gets better, because they're just going to have to blow it up. They can't just let this Trust 2.0 monstrosity keep going.
and let's circle back to let's continue this thing about Pat Bowlen. When Pat Bowlen was the owner, I never thought for a single second that we were going to look just as bad as we do for the past 8 years. Under Pat Bowlen, as Pat Bowlen was owner, I expected us to be excellent. I expected us to be good. And I trusted his judgment and his character and how much of a culture that he instilled in that Denver Broncos organization, that I had full trust in Pat Bowlen to do the right thing for the Denver Broncos. Not his ego like John Elway, not his ego like the Trust. I knew Pat Bowlen would do what's right for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, yeah, and I just get a lot of lip service now with, and I just believe it's very empty, a lot of very empty lip service right now,
and promises like we've seen for 8 years now.
Yeah, no promise. No, they'll never keep.
And why would I listen to people like the Lord of Liberty, who's been wrong for 8 years now, who has been leading the charge, has been a part of leading the charge? Why would I take your factual information serious?
Yeah. When you're putting out BS saying that the Trust, the Broncos were in great hands with the Trust, when it was historically the biggest disaster. It created the worst Bronco franchise in Bronco history, the worst Bronco product on the field in Broncos history. How can anybody take you serious? You just can't come and talk about the Ellis and Elway, that the team was in great hands when it's like it's gone. I mean, the team is basically gone and ain't going to be around for a long time from now.
And you bring up Lord of Liberty, you bring up that 5-year stretch. Who was in that organization that helped out John Elway? Who was in that organization that kept the leash on Elway? Because if you remember, who wanted Vance Joseph to be the defensive coordinator in 2015?
Yeah.
Elway. And who said no?
No, it was in 2015. It was earlier than that, wasn't it?
It was 2014, 2015, somewhere in there, because Jack Del Rio was there till 2014. And
it was the firing then of Jack Del Rio and the hiring of Wade Phillips. Yes, that's when Elway did not want. That's when he wanted Vance Joseph.
Yeah, Elway wanted Vance Joseph in that 2015.
Okay, so it's 2014 then, and Pat Bowlen was still involved with the team, clearly, because that's all came out when John Elway fired Pat Bowlen after the Super Bowl victory, and everybody was like, "What?" And that's when Mike Kliss came out. He went up on the radio, the 104.3 radio show. There was another Bronco channel that doesn't radio show that doesn't exist anymore, who's a little bit less lovey-dovey, but everybody was talking about it, that Elway absolutely wanted Vance Joseph, that never really liked the idea of having Wade Phillips there. Also, this brought up the Von Miller pick, and then he didn't want the Von Miller pick as well. And Elway was shot down, and it was all authorized by none other than Pat Bowlen to tell Elway, no, we're going to go this direction.
And who got the guys in the later rounds? Guys like Malik Jackson in the 7th round from Kentucky. Or no, my apologies. Danny Trevathan. And then you got Malik Jackson in the 6th round, Kayvon Webster's. Guys like that.
That's all Evan Peters.
That's Evan Peters. And look what he's doing in San Francisco.
He had to go too. Yes, he had to go too. That's all a part of the Trust, all a part of Elway. And then as Elway was showing that he couldn't deliver the goods, he had to start. He gave himself promotion by hiding. You know, he took that executive job once it was cleared out, and brought in George Payton, and all of a sudden Elway didn't exist. And then, let's go talk about the search committee. Yes. Nobody would have known anything about the search committee had George Payton not wanted to hire Dan Quinn. So this isn't just the sources, and we gave the sources. It wasn't just the Dan Jacobs show here in Denver, it was also the Dallas.
Dallas.
It was also Dallas. They brought one of Dan Quinn's friends, his closest friend in and colleague that worked. They both worked together with the Cowboys, and said that John Elway it came out in the Dan Jacobs show that he was spearheading the coach searching committee. Okay, that's why I asked now, what part of this is Elway? Is he still a part of this search committee somewhere? You know, one has to ask that. But all of this came out when Dan Quinn wanted to hire. When George Payton wanted to hire Dan Quinn, they had the emergency. It was the emergency session because remember, the bubble came out with, Dan Quinn's a shoe-in because they got some inside information that George Payton was gonna hire him, and George Payton was gonna hire him, and Elway came in, no, with the search committee. He was a part of the search committee. Every time I bring up the search committee, it's just like you say with the 1990s Broncos. They want to get around. They don't want to talk about the search committee. Who was running the search committee? Well, that was John Elway.
Well, we can also bring up all the
and Ellis. I could say Ellis was a part of that too.
Well, I mean, I think Ellis was more of a yes man covering.
Yes.
But let's talk about all the video evidence where John Elway's in the draft room at draft night, sitting right next to George Payton.
I asked everybody that. I said, if this guy,
why are you guys? And then you guys, you say he doesn't exist. What was it? Mark's his name. Mark. He dropped the schedule on a scooter. Let's ride, and he's in the office.
He's just an event planner. He just plans events. He's just an event planner. Yeah, John Elway's ego is not going to bring it. He will not let his ego drop to the point where he's going to be just a event planner.
You want to bring up, okay, Mark, event planner. I mean, that's what you're alluding to, right? He's an event planner. Okay, let's take a hit. Let's again, for how many times have we done this? Let's take a history lesson, okay? I hope you have your notes. Look in.
They're not taking notes. They're creating notes. Their own.
Yeah, they're creating notes. But let's look at the free agent track record of a guy named John Elway. He's overpaid for used to be has-beens. Randy Gregory punches a guy and then he appeals his suspension and he gets put on IR. Who doesn't fit a 3-4 system, who's a 4-3 defensive end. That's who he was in Dallas. Dallas isn't even missing him at all. They're actually happy that Denver overpaid for him.
Yeah, they were happy. Yes, they all came out and said they could not believe. We could believe because that's all we've seen is overpaying dumb players.
Billy Turner.
They couldn't believe it.
Billy Turner, you should have signed him 3-4 years ago when he was on the up and up, not the downhill slide.
But that's what this whole trust thing. Yeah.
And then let's circle back to draft night in 2019, 2020, or 2020, 2021, where Adam Schefter, one of John Elway's boys, comes out and says that, Denver's close to sign Aaron, or Denver's going to sign Aaron Rodgers. They're going to trade for him.
And who else said that?
Mark Schlereth. Mark Schlereth. And then you have also, why did Nathaniel Hackett come to Denver? Because they wanted to get Aaron Rodgers. And then when Aaron Rodgers said no to Elway and the Denver Broncos, they panicked and went and traded all their draft capital and all of their cap for one person and Russell Wilson. And then what did they do? They turned around and gave him a 5, 6, 7-year extension, $250 million.
5 years.
Did Pat Bowlen ever do that?
No. And Peyton and well, you could say, well, Peyton Manning, okay. Well, I don't think it was anything like the Peyton Manning.
It's already built up to bring in Peyton Manning.
For real, yes. That's the difference. And like you said, we go back to the Adam Peters. They weren't bringing in Menelik Watsons. They weren't bringing in Randy Gregory's. They weren't bringing.
You want me to say? I'll say the offensive line: Ryan Clady, Chris Cooper, J.D. Walton, Louis Vasquez, and Orlando Franklin. That the Broncos haven't had a good offensive line since early 2014.
Good enough. Good enough.
when I grew up didn't stand for good enough. This
No,
stood for
no, exactly. That's the new user-friendly Kool-Aid drinking fan. Yeah, that's the new fan. And I'm telling you, we're striving as this organization, the people, the Kool-Aid drinkers, the defenders of bad, the apologists for bad. They're striving for just happy to be there. Just the good old days of mediocrity. That's what they're all striving for. If they can just eke out 8 games, maybe get a 9 win and just happy to be there appearance. It's the Super Bowl, man. That is the Super Bowl. So that's what the Broncos have come down to, thanks to this trust, bringing this just turning the team into shambles, utter shambles.
And I want you, if you could, because I'm a historian and I like to learn the history of things. We talked earlier today about the Jay Cutler comparisons. I would really like for you to talk about that, if you would.
Well, and again, this all came out when the firing of Mike Shanahan, before the Josh McDaniel, all the spinning, the spinning and spinning that was going on with that, when everybody was shocked, okay, that the owner actually became an owner and said to Mike Shanahan that this has gone on long enough. The defensive corners you're going through, the game plan, this came after obviously the AFC West champ. I think it was the year after. But it just you can't just be 9-5, just happy to be there. We're not happy to be there. So when he got fired, Jay Cutler flipped out. He went to Pat Bowlen. They got into it, or Jay Cutler got into it with Pat Bowlen because Cutler wanted control. He wanted to control who the coach was to bring in. He wanted staff. He wanted staff and player personnel. And according to Kliss, and this was according to the Denver Post at this time, because this feud was going on. It's not just that. I mean, it was talked about nationally too. Jay Cutler was getting his agent to shop himself out with other teams, and that's when Pat Bowlen said, "That's it. You're done. I don't want you. You're working behind my back. I can't trust you. You're out of here." Now, Chicago is a lot like of that time is like Denver now. Jay Cutler. A team offensively has no identity. Never did have an identity offensively. They just thought, we'll just get this guy and he's going to transform us. Never happened. Okay, well, they went to one playoff appearance or something like it. Then they're happy and got, I don't know, blown out or whatever. But at any rate, I don't even think Cutler played. Wasn't he on the bike? Like, I don't know what
on the tricycle.
On the tricycle or whatever, the treadmill, whatever the hell that thing was. And anyway, I mean, the rest was history. It's just a lot of, again, excuse making. We're so close, but yet, so far. But it was the same thing. It was the same thing. Washington didn't want anything to do with Cutler, and I don't know. I think it was the Browns. They didn't want anything to do with Cutler either. Chicago jumped in out of desperation, and that's where the similarity I said is. You have a desperate organization, Chicago, grabbing Jay Cutler. It's the same thing now. And I'd like to also, you can add on that, but I'd like to talk about what we saw today with Russell Wilson. But is there anything you want to add with the Chicago thing?
No, I think you hit every nail on the head that needed to be said.
Yeah, it was the same kind of a thing, a panic, a team that wasn't ready for I think they would have been better off with Kyle Orton, quite frankly, to be honest with you. He was really loved by the fans there. The players really liked it. And I thought if they, could get themselves into a pocket quarterback system, that they could build on that. And they already have their defense, and they wouldn't have had to give up whatever it was they had to give up. But nobody's patient. Nobody knows how to develop. And I think that's the other thing. Chicago doesn't know how to develop. And they just wanted to throw spaghetti at the wall, just like the Broncos.
I want to circle back to the Peyton Manning thing when he came into Denver. Did they bring in an offensive system that went away from the strengths, or that maximized Peyton Manning's strengths? Or they ran the same exact system that he ran in Indianapolis?
They had McCoy, I think. Didn't they have McCoy at that time? They had
Well,
Fox.
they had McCoy, Adam Gase, guys like that, but they correlated an offense that fit to Peyton Manning's strengths, and they ran it. I went back.
Got involved with the Peyton Manning. Who wanted to start experimenting? Who?
Elway, because Elway brought in Gary Kubiak to run the West Coast zone run system that Gary Kubiak likes to run. He loves to run it, and they tried to put Manning in that system, and he didn't look the same. Also, with the offensive line being as poor as it was, even in 2015, it wasn't on the same level as it was in.
So yes. So Elway brought in Kubiak. Elway again, because then all the attention was on Kubiak. Then all the attention went on Kubiak trying to, have him be a bootleg type of a quarterback where he's not. That's definitely not Peyton Manning.
And just a little side story before we could talk about this game. You remember when Peyton Manning got injured and Brock Osweiler came in, and Brock Osweiler played well. I have to give him credit because he fit the system that they were running. But I think it was the game it was the week of the Chargers game, and Manning, and it's on America's Game. I encourage everybody to go watch that. Manning flips off the camera. Do you really think that he was flipping off Gary Kubiak, or do you think he was flipping off John Elway? Because who wanted to stick with Osweiler?
Gary Kubiak.
Who wanted to stick with Osweiler? Elway did. And then there were reports that the Broncos were trying to trade Peyton Manning during that year too. And I also want to say, who pulled the plug on Osweiler on the Chargers game? Was it Elway or was it Kubiak? Kubiak did, because Kubiak thought that Manning would bring a spark to that offense, and he did. And then they just rode with him till Super Bowl 50, and thank God Manning retired, because I didn't think he had any more left. But I'm just saying, it's stuff like that.
Can our current quarterback retire?
Yeah.
I don't think he's got anything either, but he knows himself. He does know himself.
Yeah, that's a guy that deserves $250 million. Let me just say this. I think Case Keenum and Drew Lock are better quarterbacks.
And throw Bridgewater in there too.
Yeah, I'll throw Bridgewater in there too. I think that in this current system, I think those quarterbacks would be better than Russell Wilson. I don't think that.
Yeah, they should have, again, if I said Drew Lock in the beginning, but
they should have kept Keenum. They should have.
Well, that's another story. But
yeah, another story. And
that story's a lot. Now that's the interesting thing, because Keenum would have thrived in the Kubiak system. But who did they have as an offensive coordinator?
Bill Musgrave.
They have Bill Musgrave, who's more of a pocket quarterback. He was the offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, that led the
Raiders.
Derek Carr, and the Raiders to almost what I would think would have been a Super Bowl had Carr not broke his leg. I believe he broke his leg right at the end of the season. I believe that team would have went to the Super Bowl because they were just like unstoppable on offense. But
they had that great line. Oh my! Like that offensive line. I remember we played them, and they were just manhandling guys like Jared Crick, Sylvester Williams. Like they were manhandling our interior defense. I mean, they were pancaking dudes.
Yeah. So, and it was based off of a pocket quarterbacking
system. Yep.
So again, the trust Elway it never made any sense when they brought Keenum to work with Bill Musgrave. Again, mishmashing systems.
Same with Scangarillo. Same with Vic Fangio and Scangarillo.
Okay.
That goes into, because we saw the same thing with Drew Lock. Drew Lock looks so comfortable, and I would say Noah Fant, even Reisner. Reisner hasn't looked the same since Mike Munch there. Yeah. You had a system that you can build foundational pieces onto that.
Yes, that leads us to where we are right now.
Did this happen?
What system? Who are they? They want to get quarterbacks, right? Let's just say Sean. Let's just entertain Sean Payton for just a minute. Does Sean Payton, his system, even remotely fit with Russell Wilson? Just remotely? No, of course not. It just doesn't make it. Why would Sean? Anyway, I think Sean Payton's smart enough to know that his system doesn't fit fit. So you were, well, I'm just saying. So where we are right now is they want to go out and just grab a quarterback, and again, they don't. And it go back to what I was saying with Chicago and Jay Cutler. They just want to grab a quarterback. They just want to grab a coach. They don't think about systems. Not here in Denver. This team is so this organization, it is so dysfunctional. They can't think about systems and matching players. And that's what we're talking about. That's what culture is about. That's what knowing yourself. That's the difference between us and the Patriots. Okay.
Okay. Let's go off of that. Okay. So for instance, let's entertain Sean Payton again, because that's the talk of the town. You still have to trade for him. He's still under contract with the Saints. Here's the deal. Sean Payton is not going to come here. He's better than the Denver Broncos. We all know that. He knows
makes
that.
sense to come here.
He has said that he's not coming here. He's picked up teams that he would rather go to.
And Denver's not on it.
Articles and reports have come out about that. Even the national scene is talking about it. He's going to hire Vic Fangio as his defensive coordinator. They're going to go probably have success somewhere else, that an owner will let them get the player personnel that they want. That's number one. Dan Quinn is sure as hell ain't going to come here, because after the debacle that John Elway caused in that coaching position,
Dan Quinn himself said was John Elway responsible. John Elway centric. John Elway. Dan Quinn said it, and I got links, and you can go see it on our website where his right-hand man calls out Elway. Yes. There's no way around it. John Elway was on the search committee.
Yeah, Dan isn't coming here.
Discussion ends right now.
Dan Quinn isn't coming here, because why was George Payton going out and getting Dan Quinn? Because he was gonna tear up the player personnel on the defensive side of the ball, right? We all know that. Okay. Here's the reality of the situation. I'm going to talk about today. I think the best coach that you can get is the guy that was on the sideline today. I think that's the best type of coach that you can get right now.
What's his system?
Gary Rosenberg. It's more. He comes from a Ravens type system. He was a special teams coach, and again, if you're gonna, I would give Rosenberg a shot, because we saw with the Raiders, they haven't looked the same ever since that coach when he brought when he brought everything back down to the basic level of football. They actually played pretty damn well and went to the playoffs, unlike the Denver Broncos, who were in turmoil. So again, if I had to choose, I think I would just choose that guy and just say, hey, you know what? Bring in the Ravens system. But again, with the Denver Broncos up in the upper echelon level of that organization, they are so dysfunctional with all the talking heads. George Payton is an empty suit. I don't even know if Elway's still there. We're going to have to wait to find out, to see this offseason, because I'm going to know if Elway's in that organization because of the moves that he does and the coaches that he brings in. And are they going to get rid of all the offensive cooks kitchen that week?
My question is this: if say they're gone, say Ellis and they don't even. I mean, the last I saw, he had an office. Elway did. But just for the sake of conversation, let's say they're gone. Do they carry on that trust Elway mentality? If I'm Rosenberg, is it Rosenberg?
I think it's like Jerry Rosenberg, I believe.
Rosenberg. If I'm Rosenberg, you know what I'm doing? I'm calling up people. I'm like, oh no. I'm gonna be around this place. I'm getting the hell out of here.
And I think you're onto something there. I think we're going to see a mass exodus of coaches on this Broncos roster. I think we're going to see a mass exodus of. He didn't want the interim head coaching job, and it's not because of what they're spending because of his boy Hackett. Okay, that is bull. That is bullshit.
That's damage control. That's called damage control.
That is called Kool-Aid drinking syndrome. Oh wait, I can't say that because that's racist.
No, it's not.
I know it's not.
I don't even entertain that. That's yeah, only some sort of a terrorist would say that. But go ahead.
I've been called that, so it wouldn't surprise me. By them too. Thank you, them too. Anyway, you bring up a great point where where Rosenberg's like, hey, I don't want to be here. Ezra does. I think what you're going to see is a max exodus of people from that building. And you know what? Let's say that Ellis and Elway aren't there. Let's say that, from what I saw in the press conference, if they're not there, they're sure as hell keeping that Elway and Ellis symptom alive. I mean,
yeah. The trust 2.0, the trust 2.0.
That was one of the most two-faced press conferences I have ever seen. They kept contradicting themselves like it was, and we saw today with George Payton, where you were saying it. He looked like he contradicted himself, and I went back and played it. I'm like, oh my God. Like that is the type of dysfunction that we're talking about. They say one thing and do another. They don't fall through with it. They say we're just a quarterback. We're going to get a coach that's going to fix Russell Wilson. There's no fixing Russell Wilson. He is what he is. He is a bad quarterback. And you know what? You can blame the offensive line all you want, but if I have a quarterback that's holding the ball, Well, yeah. Of course, I'm going to blame the offensive line, but I've been saying it for 8 years after.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, these people don't care. But again, if I have a quarterback that's holding onto the ball more than 3 seconds and can't read the field to save his life and locks onto receivers, I mean, what are you supposed to do as an offensive line?
Let me just say this. Let me ask this question to you, and I ask it to anybody else. Let's say Drew Lock was the quarterback today, and you saw exactly the same thing, a scramble touchdown, and that ridiculous holding to the ball too long, all those throwing the ball up into the air, the interceptions, how
leaving reads wide open when the receivers.
Sure. What would they? Everybody would be losing their damn mind, right?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I think people are losing their damn mind. I mean, this is bad. This is bad. I mean, this is bad. You're talking. They're stuck with this mess for I don't know how long, and so it's
the cap hit. This guy is insane. The cap hit on this, all the guaranteed money that you gave him, is gonna bite you in the ass. All the guaranteed money that you gave Simmons. All the guaranteed money that you gave Cortland Sutton, all the guaranteed money you gave Randy Gregory. I mean, oh my God, that's going to bite you in the ass. And it's biting you in the ass now. Because those players haven't done shit at all. Justin Simmons.
Well, he did get his one interception off of a ill-advised throw, although it was one of his better interceptions, I would say.
It was probably his best interception I've seen
of the year. Yeah, his best on an ill-advised. And if I'm Kansas City fan, like you said, we were saying at halftime, it's like, what the hell is going on here? And the announcer said that Kansas City has a problem coughing the ball up, killing themselves. I do not, I don't think this is the Kansas City anymore of their heyday, And then let me just say this too. Speaking of Kansas City and this idiot that is talking about how great the team was in the hands of Ellis and Elway. The Denver Broncos have not beat the Kansas City going back all the way to Alex Smith. All the way to Alex Smith. The Alex Smith era. So how can you sell me or anybody else on this giant turd that you call the trust of Ellis and Elway when we haven't seen anything like this in the history of the Denver Broncos, and I don't know, they haven't beat the Raiders I think in 5 seasons now either. So I just can't allow that kind of that delusion. I mean, people want to look at us and say we're delusional when we provide video of Elway in his office. What's up, boss? We show the video of Dan Quinn's people saying, yeah, Elway's involved. We also, just as a cap, we gave a link to the insiders with the draft saying Elway was tapping Peyton on the shoulder while he was going and looking and talking to different draft people. We provided all those links. And, and the people that are calling us out are trying to tell you that all you people out there that John Elway and the trust the Broncos were in great hands, and this is the product that you were given.
Just to backed off.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
I'm just saying that they're trying to sell you that what we have now, which is definitely created by that trust in Elway, that this is the best that it's ever been. I would take the Josh McDaniel era and be able to build off of that. This mess isn't going to go away for a long, long time.
This is the worst stretch of Bronco football in Denver Broncos history, in my personal opinion. It's worse than the AFL days. And,
yeah.
Here's the reality of the situation. You like to call us delusional. The people that you're listening to and taking information from, number one, they have openly lied to you, Mile High Bubble, who they have their own sport writing company from Colt beat writers and Cowboy beat writers telling you as a Denver Bronco fan that you should take them serious. They banned me.
Who hires them?
Elway. Elway's PR factor.
PR, yeah, he runs the PR.
Again, they have banned this guy on their accounts. They have banned me multiple times. I've had to restart 4 channels because Elway and this posse in Dove Valley can't handle that I call players that they overrate out on their play. And I don't think that I had to have Justin Simmons come out, and I have video archived evidence on this channel and on my BitChute of him having to come out on Mile High Bubble, Mile High Huddle, of him proclaiming that he has all these accolades when I consistently called him out each and every week from his film review, from his film against certain other players' films.
Well, let's take a look at this film or this game today.
Let's go for it.
So he gets a toss thrown his way. Finally, makes a decent play on an. But again, the pass was totally ill advised.
Yeah,
but they scored 27 points, and a lot of it came on his side of the field with him getting turned around constantly. Even the announcers talked about it. Okay, that's what it just drives us crazy. He gets a token, and there's a reason why he didn't get voted to the Pro Bowl again.
And I said he wasn't going to get voted in the Pro Bowl, and I put more eyes on Justin Simmons than ever before this year, and he was exposed for the player that he has been for 4 years now, and that is an overrated safety paid by Elway to speak garbage. Okay.
Yeah, he's a spokesperson. We need less. That's what we need. We need less spokespeople on this team. We need to fire a lot of people. We need to just get it basic, and just again, we need the roll up the sleeves approach, and from the ground up and start building it the way we've been.
It's not us. It's not us shitting on the Denver Broncos to get our point across. The reason why we shit on the Broncos is because we do not stand for this product. We do not stand for this product on the field. Me and him understand me and this guy right here understand the Pat Bullen model. We understand the Pat Bullen mindset, okay? If me and him were in that organization, it would look completely different from what you see from this John Elway run PR machine factory up there in Dove Valley. I mean, and all the teams that I said had great off seasons. The Eagles, yes, they lost today to the Saints, but they're still a very good team. They're better than the Bills, the Lions. I mean, the Lions remind me so much.
I think the Saints are better than the Broncos.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, your buddy Eddie could tell me that, and I mean, I don't need to look hard to understand that. Yes, that they are. The Lions, for example, the Lions have surpassed the Denver Broncos as a better organization than we are, and they're the
up and coming playoff. Yes,
they remind me so much of the Pat on Broncos. They remind me so much of it. They are a very good team, and I got to give credit is due to that owner Ford stepping back and letting the football minds do their jobs. Got to give credit where credit is due. If you're a Lions fan, if you're a Giants fan, I mean, my God, I mean, it's just sad to see what this organization has come to, because what did we see today? I like what I saw today from points from this offense, but they weren't consistently doing it. And then you had the other team in the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, who I believe is vastly overrated, doing his best Russell Wilson impersonation.
Yeah.
And can I ask you this, John Clayton? I know you passed, but you had to come up here and tell me and tell other fans that our offensive line was better than the Kansas City Chiefs offense.
Pays for
have
that?
3 Pro Bowl starters on that offensive line.
Yeah,
When the Broncos have none.
Yeah, who pays for those comments?
Elway did.
Yeah, see, the Kansas City, they don't need to pay talking heads hyping the team. They let the product on the field do the talking. That's what we used to. That's what Pat Bowlen brought. That's the difference between Ellis and Elway.
And here's the reality of the situation. You have guys like me and this guy. I was impressed from what I see from Jonathan Harris, and then they just pulled him. Those are the type of players that get supplanted on the roster, that get just pushed down because they don't want them to succeed. That is what I'm talking about.
Well, that's Cody Rourke had a Bronco on, and he discussed all this. He said, "I know if I'm supposed to say this, but and all the other players see this going on. That's why you got a divided locker room."
Yeah, okay, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Russell Wilson has to get choked up to talk about his teammates when he's been a microcosm of the problem for going on 8 years now. I mean, why did you bring in Russell Wilson? Because you were desperate to bring in a princess quarterback. And Russell Wilson, at the end of the day, isn't the player that he used to be, number one. He has limitations. We've all known that. Seattle fans have come onto this channel. Doss Amp, even though Doss Amp, to me, sounds more and more each time as a Dove Valley shill, but it is what it is. But guys like that have come on to this channel and said that Russell Wilson isn't the quarterback that he used to be. He's not the quarterback that you think he is. And he's a quarterback that you have to have a certain system for him to thrive in. And again, he's a one-read quarterback. He reads the ball. He holds onto the ball too long. And me and him could have told you this just by watching the film. That's how bad Russell Wilson is. And you know what? Me and you have consistently hounded this offensive line. Let me just say this. It's a double-edged sword. Let's say you're an offensive lineman, you're an offensive guard, and your quarterback turned his back to you and is running around with his chicken with his head cut off and holding onto the ball too long. What do you do? What do you do as an offensive lineman? There's nothing you can do.
Nothing. There's nothing. I'm going to say it right now. I think that Russell Wilson is a liability to this team.
I agree.
And you paid a lot of money. You paid a lot of money for a liability. I mean, you wanted to talk about the other quarterback. I don't see Bridgewater as ever being a liability. Drew Lock, you may hate him, but I never saw him as a liability. I'm talking Case Keenum. Go back to Case Keenum. I never saw him as a liability. This guy, I mean, on the field, he is a liability. And then his contract is a liability. But, here's the thing. I can't hate Russell Wilson because he never should have been brought in. This deal should have never happened.
And does he really want to be a Denver Bronco? Or was he okay, do you sure you want to do this? And
this. Well, again, hold on a second. And I think that the fans are showing that, because this was supposed to bring in fans. They're losing fans. There's the whole top section of the stadium's empty. I haven't seen that in my lifetime. Look at how old I am. You all tell me how old I am. Oh, he's old. Yeah. I was born in the 1820s. I mean, come on, or BC. I was before the Roman Empire. I mean, and I've never seen the Broncos this bad.
You're absolutely right on that.
I've been around. I've seen the Broncos.
He's been around the block.
I've never seen anything bad.
He's been around the block. Let me just say this.
Those blocks.
Teddy Bridgewater, they like to say he's a liability. He went 10-0 with the Saints with that player personnel. You guys forget that? Drew Lock went 4-1 when Rich Scangarillo was calling offensive system that fit his strengths. You like to bring up Noah Fant, that he sucks. Noah Fant had
Got to
Noah
bring in
Fant,
Shermer. Got to bring in Shermer.
and who brought in Shermer because he wanted to be just like the Chiefs?
Oh, it's Fangio. It's Fangio.
Fangio was brought in to be a defensive coordinator, a defensive mind. You think that he was up all night worried about the offense?
He was nowhere when it came to the offense. He was nowhere. Yeah.
Even in training camp and practices, he had his back turned to the offense the whole time.
You know what? It's interesting is that we watched everybody. It seemed to do a good job. The Broncos were in it, and the one guy that really ruined the whole thing was the main guy. I mean, it's all I can say. Everybody saw it.
Well, I mean, dude, when Graham Glasgow gets bullied the way he does, and you paid him all this money, and again, what reaffirmed that I knew Elway was in there is when right before they got Hackett or right before they got the head coach, they restructured his contract without the coach being there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, dude, Graham Glasgow is.
Did you really ever get the feeling that Hackett ran anything?
No, he was just an empty suit, just like Jordan has been for 2 years now.
Do you think when Hackett got fired, he hit the ground once he walked in his own front door and said, "Thank you, Lord. Thank you for delivering me. I'm free at last. I'm free at last."
Dude, he's probably going to go back to Green Bay and do his thing up there. But let's just say this. I mean, dude, let me be honest. There were things that I liked from this offense from points in this game. I liked how they got Russell Wilson out on the move. But again, what did we see? He held on to the ball too long every time he would roll out. Play action, bootleg pass to the right. He has the guy Jerry Jeudy in the running in the flats, and they brought it up in the media podcast out there, where he's like, dude, Cortland Sutton's running around in the flat, and he's looking for the deep ball. Again, I just don't. Doug Flutie would have survived this. I think Doug Flutie would look like an absolute god in today's NFL. But we sit here and promote Russell Wilson as this great quarterback and this great all-around type of player, and I can't really blame Wilson because who brought him in here?
Yeah. He didn't sign himself.
I can't blame.
Are you sure this is what you want to do, Seattle front office? Are you sure you want to do this?
This team is just so dysfunctional from the top down. Like it is like, dude, like, yes, me and him were actually like, yeah, like when they got that turnover on the special teams, you were fired up, like, stick it to them, you know?
Yeah. They don't see that. They don't see that.
No, they don't see that. I was happy they were doing design plays to Andrew Beck, and then he just disappeared.
Yeah, I hate the Chiefs, and they don't see me going, yeah, stick it to the Chiefs, yeah. But then, Russell Wilson, man, I'm telling you, it's this guy as a liability. He better go get his surgery, whatever. And
he got bailed out on that interception with the refs help there.
Yeah, when
bailed out.
That drive they got bailed out. They also snapped the ball when it hit zero.
Yeah, many times.
And they didn't call that.
Yeah, the refs were helping them.
Just to be fair, there were calls that went the Chiefs' way that I don't think should have went either. Thought it was ticky-tacky, but...
Yeah, the pass interference call on Cortland Sutton, that was a bullshit call.
Yeah, that was a bullshit call. So, yeah, it wasn't really great officiating. But that 23rd point by the offense was a gift by the referees. That was for sure. But it wasn't, again, when the Kansas City offense wasn't killing themselves, and it was brought up by the penalties and the 3 and outs and stuff like this, the horrible throws by Mahomes, throws to Justin Simmons, he just laughs. But
because he knows.
Yeah, he knows. But the thing is that had Kansas City not screwed themselves up, it would have been another 40 burger or something like this on the Denver Broncos. I have no faith in this defense whatsoever. None.
Defense is not a top 5 defense. I
No.
mean,
What you got to bank on is that these other teams are going to screw up more than great defensive play that we saw like 2015. I understand you don't see that, but I mean, there's the Ravens have a good defense. Steelers still have a good defense because they still have an identity. There's the Bills are definitely a
yeah.
team. I would assume the Philadelphia Eagles have a decent defense.
Tampa's defense is still good.
Tampa's defense is still good. Matter of fact, I wrote they finally scored.
Oh, they did.
Scored all those points. But let me ask you, that's a good question though. That's a good question. Do you have any confidence when the Broncos are behind, and they were behind close? Do you have any confidence that Russell Wilson is like compared to Tom Brady? Let me ask you this: do you have Tom Brady confidence? Do you have confidence that Tom Brady can pull out a win just as a quarterback? Do you have confidence in that?
Oh,
when you compare it to Russell Wilson, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Exactly. Do you have any confidence that Russell Wilson's going to pull a victory out?
No.
None whatsoever. And if he does, you think it's going to be more of a fluke?
Well, again, what did we see? Again, this is the perfect example. I think what you're saying is a good point. I want to expand on that point. How many times did the refs help out the Broncos in that Carolina game when they gave them 10 tries inside the 20-yard line?
Yeah, it was 10 tries, yeah.
I mean, they have to get help from other means for them to even come back in the game.
Stay in the game. To stay in the game.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
That's how bad it's gotten. I know it's bad. And dude, all these people is just what coach? Nobody wants to ask, can we get a coach? It's not even about fixing Russell. It's about now you're stuck with him. You're stuck with a major liability, in my opinion. But you've got to get a guy that can at least get Russell Wilson in a system. You said it. It doesn't even matter who it is. It's just somebody that Sean Payton is a different. It's a complete different system.
It's a different animal. And let me just say this. We bring up how great Sean Payton is, and your friend Eddie, I really want to get him on here because I'm a historian and I want to ask him questions, but hopefully that's soon. But what was Sean Payton going through? The John Elway syndrome. And then once they got people in that organization that
the Shermer.
Yeah, well,
Shermer way of doing it.
Again, they were going 7 to 9.
Receivers, edges, corners,
edges, corners. But then they got people again. I don't think it's the
coach. They got lines and built out.
They got to get people inside of that scouting department, player personnel department, all the above. They got to get people in that organization that have the same vision. They don't have the same vision up there in Dove Valley. They're just gonna hope and pray. Oh, all the reports are coming out. Oh, the Denver Broncos are going to be ultra aggressive in this head coaching search.
Well, that's a good point. That is not what is needed. They need to figure out get a coach that fits the system that Russell Wilson can work in. As bad as
working, it's about what are you going to be as an offense? What are you going to be as a defense? What identity are you going to be as an organization?
Well, now they're stuck. They're stuck with this quarter.
But again.
I guess what you're saying is if it means you got to bench Wilson,
him
and bring in a system to decide what is it you want to be, and if that means let's entertain Sean Payton. I think if you brought Sean Payton in, you'd have to bench Wilson.
Yeah, because he doesn't fit Sean Payton.
He doesn't fit the set. Yeah. I don't even think Rippon really fits this. You'd have to get a guy that.
Do they understand what Sean Payton's offense consists of? It's a lot of misdirection plays, and also you have to have a quarterback that gets the ball out quick. And Russell is none of that.
None of it. Yeah.
Excellent at getting the ball out quick, but also he had an offensive line that could sustain him enough to get the ball out quick and sustain his career and his longevity longer than what I thought he would be.
So they're ready to drum him out of town. They rebuilt that offensive line, and he was able to, function as a quarterback, and that gave him that extra life that he had, and he looked.
What I'm ultimately saying is, you shouldn't be going out to get a coach that, number one, is trying to fix Russell Wilson, that is coming in here to be, the leader of men, because we've heard that for some. You need to start off inside that organization and then work your way out to the coach. It's not, okay, we got to get it again.
Yeah.
I think that is the mantra. I think that is the mantra where I think now that you have the quarterback locked up and you're stuck with him, now they're just going to do it with the coach where, we're this coach away. Well, he didn't work out. Okay, we're this offensive-minded coach away, defensive-minded coach away. I think now that is going to apply
to a coaching carousel, and that's why I don't think Edgero even wants to be around here.
No, he'll be gone.
I think he sees this. He sees this thing a mile away.
Yeah, of course he does. I think a lot of people on that coaching staff see this a mile away. I don't know.
I don't know what to say about half these. Yeah, it's not good.
They're going to be here next year. They're just going to bring in another running backs coach. Curtis Motkins left for a better job in Minnesota. Mike Munchak's gone. Again, you brought in Butch Berry for him to get fired instead of keeping Mike. I mean, man.
Yeah, we talked about that too, because we don't know what we're talking about. We brought that up right from the beginning, but nope.
You got to start from inside the organization, and I have no confidence in this Trust 2.0. Which that's person saying that. Who was
that's the double whammy. I don't trust this quarterback as far as you can throw him. He's got that albatross contract, and I don't trust this management as far as I could trust that or throw him. So,
on there's a report coming out. Hold on.
Of course.
Oh my God! Here we go, James Merrillat. Here we go. You're gonna love this.
I can't wait.
Report: the Broncos have already reached out to Jim Harbaugh.
Well, you know what? I'll say this.
I don't want Jim Harbaugh.
Well, I'll say this. It would. I know. He reached. Yeah, they reached out to him. Yeah. Okay.
It's like they reached out to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I mean, people are going to come and interview just so they have an interview on their resume. But here's the thing. At least Harbaugh makes more sense than Sean Payton. Schematically, anyway, from a schematic. But I think it comes down. I know that. I'm not talking about that. But it doesn't matter. I think you're right. I think what matters is we got to start cleaning house at the front office and work its way to where it makes sense to bring in a coach. They're on the same page with an actual GM that, isn't some sort of a sock puppet falling on the sword for bad management. All this, again, this is what we said. I said it a long time ago, long ago, that before this team is really relevant in any real sense, not the fake we're happy to be there sense, but the real sense is that none of these people are going to be around. None of them. Not one of them are going to be around.
Nope.
I'll probably be dead and buried. You'll probably be in a cane, but it's going to be a while. It's going to be a long while.
It is. It's going to be.
Not. Yeah, this isn't about reaching out to Harbaugh. The problem is much deeper. Ownership. Rob Walt. So they had a picture. They showed him up in the booth. He already looks a lot haggard having this team that he did at the beginning when he bought it. I mean, oh God. I mean, it would be simple. It'd be simple. I mean, me and you are cutting one thing out of our cloth. We both are cut is we don't mess around, man. It would be, that's it.
Yeah.
We're gonna roll up our sleeves. We're gonna get this thing done right.
Yep.
All the talk heads and especially, all this money that's being paid out. I guess money doesn't matter, and maybe that's a problem too. Maybe Pat Bowlen money did matter. Maybe he had to watch and maybe that's a problem with the NFL. We don't want corporations buying NFL teams because they just throw money out all over the place, and that doesn't necessarily always fix problems. Sometimes you get a little tight.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, the long and the short of this is, and the moral of the story, James Merrilat, is it's a whole lot more than coaching going on here. So
yeah, you got that right.
Whole lot more. Anything else?
That's it for me.
This is a long one. Well, I don't know how many more of these we're going to do. I guess it'll have to be when something breaking the next.
Next coach, Scott Frost.
Yeah. So, there's one thing I do want to mention too. We didn't get around to it. I don't even know who's going to be still watching this, but you said that the coach Rosenberg called the media out.
Mm-hmm. He did.
Now, in what context? By holding the team accountable, or because they weren't blowing smoke up everybody's ass? Which way?
It was in the context of you guys shouldn't be putting out false reports of basically people shitting on Russell Wilson, and rightfully so. I mean, this, and we said that these people would turn on Russell Wilson in a heartbeat. We said that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it. I'm not turning, but I'm saying what my eyeballs are.
Well, we never wanted Russell Wilson in the first place, and this is the only channel on here that has video evidence of us saying, "Oh, I don't know if this is going to be." And we weren't sold on it. We weren't sold on. Of course, we weren't sold on it because we watched the film, we did our research, we talked to Seahawks fans, and we took that.
Yeah, it was a panic move all the way.
It was. I said it for
Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers was always the
golden boy.
Yeah, no, I'm going to call it. What do they call it? The cup. The the quest for the cup. What was it? The night in the round table there.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The cup. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm tired. I'm kind of tired. So he was the Ark of the Covenant. He was the
knight in shining armor.
He was the prize. He was the prize. Okay.
He was the prize, and
he was the prize all along.
He said no to Elway, which is funny. He said no to Elway.
Of course, I was. And poor Russell. Now, Russell Wilson, are you sure? Are you sure? You're sure? Oh man.
I can only imagine what Elway's reaction was when Rodgers said no. All right.
Oh, you got a picture of it. You got a photo of it. It's like him in the booth there. He's in good hands. The team's in good hands. Good God. You know what? I almost regret putting myself in thrusting it into this mess myself. And I don't even have any affiliation with this team.
He was like this.
Yeah, I would hate to be I'd hate to be employed with the Broncos. Just, ugh. Not until
if Pat Bowlen was still the owner and we were employed, oh man, you wouldn't want to be in our draft meetings. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, we would definitely have a plan, and we would definitely implement the plan. We wouldn't stray. We just keep on keeping on. But
that's please, and the Denver Broncos are anything from that.
Yeah, no, it's a mess. It is a mess.
But hey, James Merrilat report. We're gonna get Harbaugh. We reached out to him.
The shoe in. Right? The shoe in.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for a Mile High Huddle. Oh my gosh, it's a
what will happen to all the Kool-Aid drinkers when it turns out to be Rosenberg? I know that makes too much sense too. So you probably wouldn't want that. But
I know, but they would lose
their mind. They made Rosenberg. But what would the Kool-Aid factory do? Would it just explode? Like,
it could get to those levels.
I mean, they've already exploded to some degree, but imploded because this wasn't a Super Bowl run.
They're not going to get the head coach that they want. Any person that has
and again, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm just saying, so like you said, it's going to be the coaching carousel. It's the next coach. Oh, get rid of that. It's the next coach. Oh, no, get rid of him. It's the next. You wait, we're just one more. You'll see. We're only one.
Yeah, now it's just applied to the coaches now. that I know, and you know what? Any person that has two brain cells that run together are coaching in the NFL. Why would you come here? You've seen how they did. See how they did Vance Joseph. You've seen how they've done Nathaniel Hackett. You've seen how they've done Fangio. I mean, why would you want to come here after? I think, and I'm going to say this, and
They're the carousel of offensive coordinators.
I think the Denver Broncos are one of the worst jobs you can come to, and I think a lot of people know that now. I think it's exposed. It's exposed.
It's a mess. I mean, it's
bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck with that Harbaugh. Yeah.
They not going to come here.
It's in good hands.
You gotta give me 9, Jim. You gotta give me 9.
You gotta give me 9, Russ. You didn't give me 9. Oh my God. Oh.
How did that 9 work out for you, Russ? How did that 9? Yeah, let's ride, Russ.
Now it's Let's Cry. That's the new one. Let's Cry.
Lord of Liberty's probably all butthurt that he got removed. See, they don't take people with factual information serious. Well, they're just conspiracy theories.
So riddle me this, Liberty. So Ellis and Elway is good hands for the organization, and the organization is in shambles. Yeah, how can I possibly take you serious?
You've been wrong for 8 years now. How can I take you serious when you have no factual information? All you bring up is a span here, a span there, and a span there.
If even that.
Yeah, even if he has that running together.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna. The thing is,
up and running though. I got my YouTube up and running.
For how long? I know we should take.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I'd probably give it to the end of the draft, and then they'll get rid of it.
I would say long before that, maybe that coaching hire.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, because they do not want Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, they want Jim Harbaugh, but Jim Harbaugh doesn't want them.
No, of course, Jeff Fisher.
So I'm not somebody who helicopter moms the comment section, so I don't know what. Yeah.
Even you. Yes.
That's Warden Hazen. After, You
got to give me 9, Rose.
Yeah. It's Warden Hazen when he finds out he just lost the great one there. All right.
I wonder how Hackett's feeling. I really do. I'm very curious.
I would say a weight of 1,000 pounds off his shoulder, or 10,000 pounds off his shoulder.
Had 1,000 pounds on his shoulder when he was just another onion layer for Elway.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank you, Hackett, for your time, Hackett. You didn't get me 9, Hackett. You didn't get me 9.
Yeah, so all these coaches that they get, you can just go right from the Fangio and just play the Fangio firing, and when they fire this next guy they got, just play the Fangio, insert his name. It'll be the same thing. It'll be believe me, we're just one coach away.
All you got to do is watch the Hackett firing press conference and the Vic Fangio firing press conference.
Insert some other guy's name in there, and it's to say it'll be the same press conference.
You gotta give me 9, Russ. Let's ride, Russ.
That's right, Russ. I need 9, Russ. You gotta give me 9. You need 9. Just give me 9, Russ.
I'll get some mac and cheese and ribs, Russ. Mac and cheese.
You can eat it with Cody Rourke. You sit down there with Cody, and you guys can have some mac and cheese and ribs. Yep.
I'll buy Denver Post, Lord of Liberty, out to get these.
Denver Post. Yeah, he lined his bird cage with it. That's about as close as he gets. But if he have just a little moment of honesty and said, "Yeah, I'm with the PR department for the trust," and that's I believe that. All right, I'm gonna roll. I think it's time for me to eat.
All right, and get some shut eye.
Yeah, for sure. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.